Okay, so these are the okay. So here I have written trigger events. Okay, these are the trigger events. We have seven type. Okay, I'll teach you all the events. Okay, we will do practical on every events. So that time we will understand more what is before insert, after insert. Okay. Next thing which I have written in trigger, that was trigger dot new. What is it? So trigger dot new, it's a context variable. Okay, trigger dot new, it's a context variable. What is it? So it will specify, basically it's a trigger context variable. It's a variable. It's a variable which store the data. Okay, and it will specify when our trigger code will execute. It will specify when our trigger code will execute. Okay, trigger event specify on which TML code will execute. On which TML trigger code will execute. Okay, trigger context variable, it will specify when our trigger code will execute. Okay, if we have written some code inside the context variable, so when it will execute. Okay, but you can say trigger events, it will specify on which TML this code will execute. Okay, so there are many type of trigger context variable are in Salesforce. So first is trigger dot new. Second is trigger dot new map. Third is trigger dot old. Fourth is trigger dot old map. Okay, these are the context variable. Next, which we have trigger dot is before, trigger dot is after. So these are the also trigger context variable. Okay, next trigger dot is insert. Trigger dot is update. Trigger is the class. Okay, is update is the method. Trigger dot is update, is insert, is delete. Trigger dot is undelete. Okay, so these are the trigger context variable. We have other context variable also. Okay, so I have written some context variable. We also have other. Okay, so we have to focus on four context variable. What is it? Trigger dot new map, old map. What is it? What is trigger dot new map, old map? Because here I have written trigger dot new. Okay, what is it? Okay, so basically trigger dot new, it's a variable. Trigger dot new, it's a variable. Okay, trigger dot new is a variable which will return. You can write, it returns list of new record. So trigger dot new, it's a variable in which you can store new record data. Trigger dot new, it's a variable in which you can store list of new record. Okay, trigger dot new, it's an variable in which you can store list of new record.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Sir, just now you have said key trigger is a class and dot after that that is a method.
is after is insert. These are not the method. These are the variable of the class.
A trigger
ठीक
is
है.
a class and new
ट्रिगर
is the
क्लास है. हाँ, is after these, हाँ, new, these are the variable. ठीक है, is after also. Is after, is before, these are the boolean type of variable. Okay, trigger dot new is a variable in which we can store list of new record. Okay, next, when we will use trigger dot new, so it will not returns id of the record. In trigger dot new we will not get the id of the record. ठीक है, trigger dot new, it's a variable in which we can store list of new record. So before saving the record will come in trigger dot new and we will not get the id of the record. Okay, whenever we will insert the record, yeah, update the record, so that whenever we will insert the record, so first that record will come in trigger dot new variable, then it will go in database. Okay, whenever we will update the record. Okay, whenever we will update the record, so we will have two type of value, new value and old value. Okay, So whenever we will update the record, so updated value will come in trigger dot new list. Okay, updated value, yeah, new value will come in trigger dot new list. Okay, so it's the definition of trigger dot. Okay, next is trigger dot old. What is trigger dot old? Okay, next is trigger dot old. What is it? So trigger dot old is a variable in which we can store list of old records. List of old records means if you are modifying the record, so you will have two type of information: new information, old information. Okay, so old information where you will get in trigger dot old. So in which you in which we can store list of old record. And let's suppose you want to delete the record. Okay, you want to delete the record. So which record you will delete? You will delete record which are available into database. Which record you will create? You will not delete it. ठीक है कि create हुआ है नहीं पहले delete करना चाहती हूँ. Which records are available in database? Those record you want to delete. So these are the old record. So old record you will fetch. Where you will store? You will store in trigger dot old variable. Okay. So trigger dot old in which we will get the record ID or not. So it will return ID of the record. Okay. In trigger dot old we will get the ID. ठीक है. Whenever we will insert the record. Whenever we will insert the record, so first that record will come in trigger dot new variable. Then will go into database. Okay. Whenever we will update the record, so old information will store in trigger dot new old variable. In trigger dot old list, yeah, trigger dot old variable. Okay, whenever you will update the record, so old information will store in trigger dot old. Okay, new information will store in trigger dot new. So these are the difference. So when you will give the interview on trigger, okay, first question, what is trigger? How many types of trigger? What's the difference between before and after trigger? Second, what is context variable? Okay, then what's the difference between trigger dot new and trigger dot old? Okay, so these are the difference also, and these are the definition what is trigger dot new and old. Okay, next is trigger dot new map. Okay, so next question is trigger dot new map. So trigger dot new map is a variable in which we can It's a map type variable. Trigger.newMap, it's a map type of variable. Okay. In this map, we will store new new record ID and new record information. New record ID on key side and new record information on value side. ठीक है. Trigger dot new, it's a list type of context variable in which we will store list of new record. Trigger dot new map, it's a map type of context variable in which we will store id id of the new record on key side and new record information on value side. Okay. So whenever you will insert the record, ठीक है, it's not correct, it is available in after. So whenever we will update the record, so updated value, new value with id will come in trigger dot new map. In trigger dot new map also that value will come, updated value with id. Okay. So it's also the interview question. What's the difference between trigger dot new and trigger dot new map? Trigger dot new, it's a list. Trigger dot new map, it's a map. It will return it. Trigger dot new will store the list of new record. There will not any record id, but in trigger dot new map we will have record id. Okay, on key side we will store the record id and on value side we will store the record information. These are the difference. Okay, next is trigger dot old map. So trigger dot old map is a map type of variable. In this map we will store old record id on key side and old record information on value side. So whenever we will update the record, so old value with old value of record, old value with id, old value with id will store, yeah, will get in trigger dot old map. Okay, so these are the definition of the trigger dot old map, new and old. An interview, what's the difference between trigger dot new and old? What's the difference between trigger dot new and new map? Okay, what's the difference between trigger dot old and old map? These are the interview questions. So any doubt till here? Please tell me. Do you have any doubt till here?
No doubt, sir.
Good. Okay, so now what I'm doing, I'm going to use it. Okay, I'm going to use trigger dot new these thing. So here you can see I have written one trigger where I've used before insert. So this trigger will execute before inserting the record. If I'll write after insert before update, after update, because we have seven type of context variable. All context, sorry, we have seven types of trigger events. So all trigger events we can write here. Okay, I've written six here. So that logic which I have written here when it will execute. Which logic I have written here when it will execute. First I am getting error message. Okay, before and delete I have written. I have to write after delete. There is no before and delete. There is only before and after and delete. Okay, there is no error. So I want to know when I'll execute this trigger. Whenever trigger will execute. So that logic when it will execute. Every time on every event, only on before insert event. If I'll update any record ACC101, I'm going to update the record. Description is empty, changing the rating. Okay, rating I'm writing hot. So I'm updating the record. So when I'll update, so I'll get some value in description field. Okay, record is rigged only trigger. Okay, so I'm updating it and what I'm getting trigger is working well. So this code will execute on every DML when you will insert, when you will update, when you will delete. Okay, what we have to do whenever I'll insert the record, whenever I'll insert the record, that time it should be execute. So how we will write it? We will write one condition. That time we will write the condition. If trigger dot is before and trigger dot is insert, that time I want to execute the logic. If trigger dot is before and insert, this logic should be executed. So when I'll insert the record, that time this logic will execute. Okay, updated time, it will not execute. You can check. I am updating another record, Crovio 105, changing the rating and description. We can check null. I am going to save it. What I'm getting? Null value. Because this trigger will not execute. When it will execute? Only when we will insert the record. So trigger dot is before, what is it? It's a variable, Boolean type of variable. Trigger dot is before, it's a Boolean type of variable. So we are checking the condition. Record means trigger is executing before insert time or no. जब भी हम इंसर्ट करेंगे चेक करें कंडीशन ट्रू है, हाँ बिफोर है, हाँ ठीक है इंसर्ट करा रिकॉर्ड। अगर अपडेट कर रहे हैं तो इसमें इस लाइन ठीक है कंडीशन ट्रू नहीं, if condition is not true so this code will not execute. ठीक है, so that time we use context variable. Okay, here I have used you can say event, trigger event and trigger context variable. Okay, next thing, it's not a logic I have written in a trigger. Logic I have written in a trigger. So it's not a good approach to write the logic in a trigger. It's not a good approach to write the logic in a trigger. It's not a good approach to write a logic inside a trigger. Okay. Then if we will not write the logic inside a trigger, where we will write? Okay, so we will create one Apex class, and that will be the helper class of the trigger. Okay, so in helper class, we will write the logic and we will call in Apex trigger. Whenever we will create helper class. So first we will write trigger name, then helper as a extension. Okay, we have to add the extension helper. It's the helper class of first trigger, helper class of second trigger. Okay, so I'm going to write this logic in a helper class. I will not write in a trigger. It's not a good approach. Okay, so where I will write it, I'll write it in a helper class. So I'm going to create one helper class. Okay, here we have not to close. So now I'm going to create helper class. Simple click on file, new, Apex class, class name, then helper as a extension. Okay. Inside the helper class, create one method, and method should be static. When you will call the method in a trigger method, you have to create a static method. Okay. So then void, we will not in trigger we will not return anything. So always we will create void type of return type. Will be void. Okay, then you have to write method name. So I'm writing before insert method. Any method name you can write. I'm writing before insert method. It's a before insert method. And in before insert method, I'm going to write the, you can say, I'm going to write the logic in before insert method. Okay. So whatever the logic I have written in trigger, now I'll write in the method. Okay. Go to the trigger, take the code from here, come to the here. Okay. It's not a good code. So what we will do here, we will pass list type of data. List, any type of data you have to pass in a parameter. Okay, so I'm passing list of account ACC list. Okay, so till now any data is coming in ACC list? No, nothing is coming in ACC list. So we have to send the data in ACC list. So which helper class we have created, we have to call in a trigger. So now I'm going to remove this code and call the helper class here. Dot, we have to call a static method, write the method. Okay, but there is one condition. Whenever we will call the method, we have to pass list type of information. List type of information. Okay, so we have one context variable, that is trigger.new. So trigger.new, it's a list type of variable. So from here, I'm passing new record information, new list type of record information. And here I am handling it. So in ACC list, I'll get new record information. Okay, list of new record information. Then I'm going to iterate it for account ACC list. Then ACC dot description. helper class working. Okay, then I want to update other field also. So I'm writing active. It should be yes. Okay, whenever I'll create any name. So in name, I want the name of the company. So ACC plus I want the my company name. So Cap Grovia. Okay, then I'm going to save it. So first we will save the Apex class. First we will save the Apex class. Then we will save the trigger. Okay, so here I have saved the trigger. Now I'm going to execute this. Trigger in trigger I'm calling helper class before insert method. Before insert method means Grovia helper class working. Yes. Now I'm checking it's working or not. So I'm going to insert the record. I'm yeah. I'm going to insert the record. I'm writing Sankey. Click on save. There is nothing in description. Active none. Okay. Click on save. So record will not get saved in database. Value is too large. Okay, we have to remove after insert. Okay, we have to remove after insert because same code. Yeah, from here handling no problem. I think we have to remove the Grovia. It is not taking complete name.
सर आपने आफ्टर इंसर्ट हटाया आई थिंक उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ना चाहिए
उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा कुछ भी क्योंकि यहाँ से हैंडल कर लिया।
हाँ
ठीक है, वो कंप्लीट नेम नहीं ले पा रहा था बस। ओके, क्लिक ऑन डिटेल्स
सर डेटा
अकाउंट नेम
टाइप थोड़ा
सैंकी
डेटा टाइप करने के लिए
description helper class working active yes. So whatever I have written it's coming. Okay, whatever I have written here it's coming. Okay, here I have written ACC means complete account information I'm passing. That's why I was getting the error. ACC name plus Grovia, name में Grovia ऐड करना है. Okay, now Grovia will come. Okay, again I'm going to open it. Yeah, class it has been saved. Now again I'm going to insert the code and check functionality is working well or not. So I'm writing Tushar, click on save button. So Grovia name should be added. Checking in details. Yeah, name it has been added. Active should be yes, yes. Description helper class working. So logic is executing. Okay. So do you have any doubt in this scenario? How we will write the logic? Simple. We will create helper class. In helper class, we will write the logic and we will call the helper class in trigger. It's a good approach. Any doubt till here?
No doubts.
Good.